Hey everyone, happy Thursday. Sorry we're a day late with this update. Just really have a jam-packed one. So here we go. Welcome back, Dr. Bordelon. We are so happy to see you well and walking through these halls. And I know that your patients are happy to have you back too. So welcome back. Also, big welcome to new team member this week, Dr. Allie Guidry. We are so excited to have you here. For those who have not met Dr. Allie or are kind of finding out about her just now, she's been hired to work about 2/3 of her time here at LVCC, and then she's going to have a routine shift at Spanish Trail in New Iberia as well. So kind of sharing her time, and she's going to help us to stabilize our doctor's schedule, shorten some of their weekend shifts, as well as we're able to, beginning the first weekend of July, we'll be able to add a 3 p.m. to 9 p.m. shift on Saturdays. So Saturdays being our busiest day, for those who work, you well know, just a ton of demand on Saturdays for our care. So on Saturdays, we'll be able to have a 7 to 4 shift, a 12 to 7 shift, 3 to 9 shift, and then an 8 p.m. to 8 a.m. shift to take us through the night. So lots of overlap in our doctor's time, which will hopefully even out our flow. We'll be able to add some team members there as well to keep up with the demand. So hopefully this will help us get that better handle on Saturdays that we've wanted to, so we don't have to limit what we offer or how we do it. We're just ready to respond to that demand. So again, welcome to Dr. Allie, who's making that possible. We're just thrilled to have you. Painting going on at the hospital right now. So sorry for the distractions that this creates, but it should be pretty much finished by the weekend time and have things back in place. I think there's just some rooms that are left either for a second coat or to finish trimming out. That should happen Thursday night, and again, any loose ends tied Friday. Once you see a room is finished, meaning that the yellow has been eliminated and you only see the gray color, you can go ahead and put your things back there. I think we're going to try and do the doctor's office through the weekend. So doctors, just try and clear your desks the best that you can. Again, after the painters are done, just kind of put the things back. The next thing that I wanted to address is that we are in the heart of kennel cough season, and we are seeing some of this, some coming from our facility, much coming from other facilities. Treatment's just the same. I like to just describe this as it's kind of like a cold for dogs. Like some dogs will get it, some dogs will not get it, just like some kids in school get what's being passed around, and then others are just fine despite being exposed in the same kind of way to the same disease. So what I wanted to share with this is what we are doing about it. First of all, Melinda came up with a rockin' SOP to help guide us through it and make sure that everybody understands we don't have to make up solutions. These are really carved out for you. To be proactive as we can, we've upped our cleaning regimens at the resort, as well as from a proactive standpoint of sharing what's going on with our clients. We're doing just that. This week, to kind of get ahead, we reached out to any boarders who were scheduled to come into the resort. Anybody who was scheduled to come into the resort, they were going to get an email as well as a phone call. And going forward, we're going to have our customer care team educating clients of kind of what's going on, what to expect, a potential risk warning of what their pet may face while they're in our care or boarding anywhere, and what we're doing about it. So that'll happen at the time that they're scheduling. It happens through email thereafter when we are confirming their appointment. Anyone coming into our resort gets an email appointment confirmation, so a great description of it there. For those who are found coughing while they're in our care, we're setting up kind of an isolation station within the playground, the shop across the street at 118 Noel. We're setting up kind of like an isolation room there where we've recently had an exterminator come through to make sure that's a safe, clean space. We've cleaned, we've updated our air conditioning, we've got backup fans, and then we've got a schedule for our pet care team to go over there and care for them 4 times throughout the day. So that'll be like where they would board in a crate for safety and isolation. We do not want to put these pets in our in-house isolation ward, in our dog or cat ward at our hospital. We really don't even want them walking through our hospital where we have other compromised patients, again, being exposed to them. So training the pet care team to say, if you have this coughing dog, you'll walk them out through the lobby and walk them through the parking lot around to the playground, settle them in, and then there at the playground, you'd care for them and use the backyard for a walking kind of potty space. For pets who are not in our care or who have left and need to return because they found that their pet was coughing at home, whether again from us or from another facility, we're going to try and do car exams for these pets and then send them home with oral meds to treat them. So that's the rough layout of how to navigate this. Please don't feel like you have to reinvent the wheel, but please do be familiar. So if you're new to our team and you're not just catching this exactly what to do with the drift, I want you to connect with an upper level team member or your assistant manager to get the clarity that you need to decipher everything that we just said. Really, really important. So again, I don't want to go any deeper into detail here, but it's really important that everybody has a handle on it. It's your job. I want it done precisely, so make sure you do that. Make sure you review the SOP that's attached to this training as well, so that we'll get that out there and have us all on the same page. Speaking of vaccines, speaking of kennel cough, we do highly recommend our twice yearly Bordetella vaccine as well as influenza. Neither one of those things will exclusively prevent this, but it really does help. So we are strongly tracking who receives once yearly Bordetella, because some clients of ours choose to decline the second vaccine of the year. Other veterinarians in our area who have patients who will come and utilize our services for boarding, maybe they don't recommend a twice yearly vaccination regimen. So we do have clients who will decline that second vaccine. It's very difficult to track and it's hard to communicate amongst the team. So this is kind of a twofer here. We want to start adding in, when we have a client decline that second vaccine, adding in a Bordetella charge and then right-clicking decline on it in their record so that our customer care team can show that we actually did educate, we chose to decline, or the client chose to decline. They sign a waiver at our resort. Well, then we can scan that waiver and attach it to that declined Bordetella line item so that everyone else can see this client's been educated, did our due diligence, they made an educated decision that it just wasn't for them, and we go ahead and permit them into the boarding area. We only require Bordetella once a year. That's require. We recommend it twice a year. I want everybody to understand the difference and speak that same language. We have other patients that come into the resort who also utilize decline waivers for vaccines. Maybe their pets cannot be vaccinated anymore. Maybe our veterinarians have approved, for whatever special circumstance, that they can board without vaccination, or maybe they come with a letter from an outside veterinarian reflecting the same. We have a hard time, our team, deciphering who these pets are, and tend to almost borderline harassing these pet owners that they're due for vaccines. So we needed a smart way to communicate that. So Melinda created some vaccination reminder codes to say, like, it's okay to board without this vaccine, so that you can enter those in. Let's say that you're in an exam room and you have a patient who is intolerant to, I'm just going to say, the DHLPP vaccine, but they have everything else and they're okay to board. Well, I'm sure you could imagine this would be really hard for the customer care team who's managing boarding reservations to decipher why this patient is missing this critical vaccine. So if you're able to enter the code that we created, OKTPBRDD. Now, you don't have to memorize these things. Everything's searchable. But if you were able to enter that code or search for that code, put it in the reminder section, it would then communicate to everyone else, hey, this patient specifically does not have this vaccine for a reason. They're out of compliance for a reason. Therefore, they're actually in compliance because we've documented it. And it'll really be helpful in deciphering that going forward. Again, very hard to describe some of these things in a video. I've got it in writing for you. Melinda did a really smart job. Basically, in short, what I'm asking you, if there's a patient who no longer is receiving a vaccine for a certain reason, qualify with the doctor who's seeing that patient at that time. Hey, would this patient be okay to board without this vaccine in our facility? If they say yes, I want you to go into the reminder section, search okay to board. You'll see all of the different vaccination options. Choose, in the example I gave, okay to board without DHLPP. You would choose that. Then it lands in the reminder section, and it's a very clean way to communicate that to everybody. Also, by the way, clients are not going to get reminders based off of that. It'll just be for our reference. It'll settle in. They'll still get reminders for other things there. It's smarter than suspending it because it actually tells us that for purpose they're not getting this, not just that it's a personal choice or etc. So make sure that you understand that. Again, putting that text down there so you can read it and just really get it there. I'm really excited for this. We had our traction meeting this weekend with on our quarterly basis with our management and leadership team, deciphered out what our plans for this quarter are, sticking with the good to great movement. We'll talk about that more, but one of the things that we're trying to do is kind of restructure some of the nursing department, the way the daily flow happens, just to be the most efficient and make sure that we're always getting the right people in the right place at the right time. That's a mouthful. We're going to good to great on the nurses department too, is what I'm trying to say. So I'm really excited to be jumping back into some training with team members directly and helping with some appointment flow training. That'll start next week. So I've got a good list of nurses from Danielle who I want to connect with in small groups or individually if we need to. So don't be intimidated if you get a message from me inviting you to something like that. It's not because you have a shortcoming, it's because there's an opportunity for you to do more and make sure that you're whole on your knowledge there, okay? So again, please expect that. Excited again to jump into other areas in that respect in the future. This one is important. Employees. Andrea is not our on-site Trupanion rep. Let me say that again. Andrea works for LVCC, not for you, not for Trupanion. Everybody has been really bombarding her lately, getting her to file claims for clients, to file claims for employee pets, to follow up on claims. You know, that's not her job. That's your job. So the way that our Trupanion stuff works is we always should be encouraging clients that they can submit their claims online. And if they need help, like getting records in digital form, we can do that, but we cannot submit their claims. That's up to them because whoever starts that communication keeps that communication. And don't you want the client to know what's going on with Trupanion versus us? We just want to help them to get their records in digital form. So like you could print their chart to a PDF and email it to them. That's how we can help them with their claim. We can do the same thing for team members, but really you can do it for yourself. The way that this benefit works for our team is that the company is paying at least 60 to 70% of your premium for the month. And that's where our contribution ends. And we'll do any kind of other discounting in your record in the meantime, but we don't file your claim for you. That's your responsibility, just like it's the client's responsibility. So make sure everybody understands their boundaries with that. Andrea does have a full-time job, so just be respectful of her time with that. Also, just quick reminder for employees who are submitting their own claim, and for those who will begin doing that, after you've done it, you need to go into your record and put Trupanion claim submitted. It's a code that'll go in your pet's record that'll post to accounting, and this communicates to us where you are in the process with your balance. Those who don't do that, your balance will be deducted from your paycheck the week of payroll. So if you're due to get a paycheck in your hand on Friday, payroll gets submitted on Monday. That means those balances come out on that Monday before you get paid. So there's no way to reverse that. If you haven't done your part about putting your claim code in, and we see that it's just a balance, we're just going to assume that it's a clinic bill and those get deducted from your paycheck. Everybody's got a boss, and our parents at NVA, they don't understand this because they have not been exposed to Trupanion in the way that we do things. So I just want to make sure everybody clearly understands. I never want to disappoint you when it comes to money. I just want to make sure you understand where your boundaries and where your responsibilities are and what's going to happen if you don't follow those. Those balances will be deducted. The good news is if your balance gets deducted, you should be getting reimbursed from Trupanion if you filed your claim. So that reimbursement would then just come directly to you and we can make that right. Just really make sure that you follow the rules. If you have questions regarding your claim, not necessarily how to do it, but making sure that you've documented that you've done it, Beryl's a great person to ask. Dawn is a great person to ask. Alex, myself, Melinda, we can all just double check your record and make sure that you're good to go on that. But you have to do your part, is my point. Last week in our update, we talked about a 7 p.m. discharge time for hospitalized patients now. Surgery patients. 7 p.m. discharge time for surgery patients now. We're having a discharge nurse stay until that time. If all of the surgery patients have been discharged before then, they are free to go or finish their work in other areas. But I just want to make sure everybody's understanding. Customer care team, your role in this is when you're confirming appointments, you need to discuss this with the client on the phone or leave a message regarding this to say, hey, as a reminder, I want to make sure that you understand that pickup is scheduled and must be done before this time, or you'll face a hospitalization fee overnight. I would even be doing this at the time that you're scheduling appointments. So when I say we get into the area of at the time of scheduling appointments, most of the time surgeries are actually scheduled by nurses, and that happens in the exam room or through maybe a follow-up call. So this is where kind of it opens up to the rest of the team, nurses, customer care team, doctors, anybody else who works on the phone most of the time. That's the responsibility, is we are doing all of these surgery discharges by 7 p.m. or they're facing this hospitalization fee overnight. Again, just really trying to drive quality. So you have to communicate that with the clients. Please make sure that you're doing that, okay? Next thing, F5 notes need to be updated after each appointment in Avamark. If you want to be able to reference a quick shot of what that patient's care and needs look like, what their quick history looks like without having to file through multiple tabs in Avamark, you have to look at F5 notes. And if you like looking at F5 notes, you have to keep it alive by continuing to add to it. So everybody do their part. When I say everybody, I mean everybody who takes care of records, do your part on the record that you're supposed to be taking care of. So if it's been your job to fill out the medical condition, the SOAP, then you need to make it your job to also have completed the F5 notes by the end of your appointment. It's critical. That's your part. We're no longer going to be stocking potty pads since we can't seem to get a handle on using them conservatively. As an example, one patient in one kennel had 6 potty pads at one time this week. Those things are really, really expensive. I've talked to everybody in the last 2 weeks at least about our profit margins and our costs and wastes and so on, and how conscious we have to be of it, especially as we're getting to be a bigger company. So that six pads in one kennel that cost about $6 really. We just can't afford for them to be misused, and as convenient as they could be, I really think that we're not trusting in the GREAT system. Everybody's very worried about a patient sitting in diarrhea or in urine or whatever. Well, if you're using the GREAT system, the majority of their waste is going to fall through the GREAT. If you're putting the puppy pad on top of the GREAT, they're still going to be able to step in it. So it's not making exact sense. The only thing that I could think a puppy pad would be easier for is to put kind of up against the door of the kennel to make sure if waste gets pointed towards the door that it's caught. But we're not doing that anyways. So everything's going underneath the grate. It might as well be newspaper that's free and recyclable. So I'd appreciate everybody adjusting their methods to that and understanding that once we have used what's in stock, we're not going to be restocking those items. Look forward to invitations through Humanity and maybe some through Slack also on social and vision meetings. We did this a lot last fall and last summer, and are finding that we have a need for that again with new team members coming in, as well as just continuing to reconnect to old team members with our size and our scale and how spread out we all are in most cases. So quick ice cream social. Again, what we usually do is kind of meet up in the management space in the apartment, just have like a little afternoon snack or beverage or whatever together and chat, share vision, talk about what's going on, answer questions for new team members, and just really get to know each other. So I'm looking forward to having those meetings and trying to get everybody to circle back through in the next couple of months. So if you don't get an invitation, yours is soon to come. If you do get one, that's what to expect. Try an RSVP so we know you can make it. They're really important, so don't skip them. Good to great movement this year. Really, really going well. I think we're talking about it all the time. I'm hearing it used back towards us, so that's awesome. I just wanted to make sure that we understood our commitment here. It means that we're not adding anything new, any major new services. Sometimes things just evolve because we have patient needs. So I want to make sure we decipher the difference. But good to great means that we're focusing on enhancing what we do. We're tightening down the bolts. We're not adding anything that's going to be distracting. So with Dr. Allie and with Dr. Olivia joining our practice this year, we know that they've both come with special interests and some certifications in the area of acupuncture and rehab and wellness. But that's not a service that we're planning to add just yet. So if you hear them talking about it, or if you see some of their existing patients that maybe followed them here receiving those services, I don't want anybody to misunderstand that or take it and run with it. We're not ready to add those services yet. In the case of Dr. Allie, she was practicing here locally in the Acadiana area, and she had these patients who were in her care. And she has a responsibility and honestly strong desire and passion to see their well-being all the way through, meaning they were mid-treatment, and if she stops, they would probably digress. And so she wants to continue treating them. So although she is now a we, and we are treating these patients with acupuncture and through these different therapies and modalities, that doesn't mean that we as a practice have adapted that and can begin to market that to other patients or to promote that as a service. That's not how it is. We're just treating these few patients. So I wanted to make sure that I qualified that with everybody so that we didn't take it and run with it and again overcommit in an area or launch something prematurely. We've made a commitment to not doing that, so I felt the need to specify. Last thing, not a small thing, not a big thing either, just a thing. Melinda and I are taking more of an equal stance on things. We are finding just that the size and the capacity of our operations is really big and it needs to be redivided. So those who've been around for a while knew this dynamic from us before. And we're just figuring out how to make things happen in a timely manner so that we can get you all of the resources that you need. So we're kind of taking the job that I've had and redividing it up a bit. And specifically, Melinda is going to take on operational management. Operations, you think processes. What needs to happen to complete work in a day? That's her. So how we do things, why we do things, what we are doing, those are the things that she's going to focus on. I'm going to focus on people development because that's my strong area, just as the other is her strong area. So I'm going to focus on continuing to develop people, making sure that they're working really smartly in their roles, adding new ideas to the practice, and kind of overseeing the management team. I think that's a great divide for us, and it lessens the workload so that we can give you faster results, which is what everybody's always after. The thing that kind of falls in the middle sometimes is facility. So if there's something wrong with the facility or the equipment, that really tends to have more of an impact on processes than it does on people. So facility care is going to bounce back to Melinda. Melinda and Bennett work awesome together. Melinda's far more handy than I am, and honestly probably going to be quicker to respond than I've been in some cases. So I think you'll find good relief with those things going to her, and I'd ask that you begin redirecting those to her at this point. The other great thing is that Melinda, being in the operational seat, she's going to have a direct line of access to our parent company, to NVA. So messages that come to the practice from NVA, resources, things like that, Melinda will take care of those as well. It's a great opportunity for Melinda. It's going to free up some space for her below as well. She's been acting as our resort manager. And so in the near future, she's going to be looking to hand that over. I don't want to do an all call and say this needs to be a great interview process. I think she's got it determined how she wants to do that. And it's going to be a good fit. So we'll continue to keep you updated as we go. For now, also resort processes stay with Melinda. So she'll be busy. You'll see a lot of her though, and she should be accessible to you. All right, y'all, sorry for the extra long update today. Just had a lot of great stuff that we needed to share. Thank you for everything that you do. This has been a great week. It's going to be a great rest of the week, and we'll see you next time. Don't forget, read those SOPs that are attached to this training too, and make sure that you click complete when you're done. Thanks, y'all.